on. Had a little bit of an issue there, but I think we are good to go here. Just checking everything. Let's see. Hang on with me. All right. Let's see. Well, I think we're just gonna go with it. I think yep, we're working now. Alrighty. Well, thanks for hanging on there. Um, so I'll back up because I was talking about resting and the benefits and the power for resting. I'll share with you a quick story of how I greatly benefited from resting, and that is I'd come home from work this one day, and I was just extremely sick. It was 11 in the morning. I was totally doubled over, and I just said to myself, you know, I can't do this. This is I'm not living. I got a family, and I'm not living right now. And so I ultimately I said, listen, I need to stay home. I can't do this right now. So I had the support for my wife. I had the support for my family, and I was able to take 3 months home. Sorry, 3 months out of work to stay home. And it was tough at first. I was still experiencing a lot of pain, several times a week. But as the time went on, the pain became further and further apart, less and less and less. And by the time, third month came around, and definitely at the end of the third month, I swear I had more energy than when I was 18 again. I was just feeling so great. I was just alive. I had absolutely no pain. So I was able to experience the benefits of really resting and taking that opportunity to slow life down again, to just take things real easy. And it's if you kind of can visualize yourself like stepping back, like sitting back, and um, and just assessing your situation and where you're at, because I really believe that we can get so, and I know I did it, and that we can get so caught up in food and what we're eating, and focused on if it's right, if it's wrong, is it dairy, is it gluten free, like and that stuff's well and good, but we kind of get too much into it where you know again we forget, we forget to just slow down and to just take a few steps back and get our feet grounded, and get our health grounded in a way that now we can make conscious decisions going forward, and conscious decisions, certainly avoiding stress. So I would definitely recommend that, if anyone can take that opportunity to give yourself that time to rest. If it's 3 months, if it's 6 months, if it's one day, even, I mean, it really doesn't matter. Certainly, the more time you can give yourself, I promise the better you'll improve and everything. But it can't even just be a day or 2 days or a week, or again, whatever you can give yourself. And if you really can't give yourself any time, whatever you can do during the day, and if that means to, like, just focus and stop what you're doing for just a minute or two, I mean, that's just going to have such a powerful advantage in getting yourself back. And again, it's really, again, if you just kind of picture like driving 60 miles an hour versus walking on the side of the road, you're going to see everything, you're going to appreciate everything, and you're going to be able to focus, and you'll be able to go where you're going without driving so fast that you miss the turn, you forget to stop, or all these things. So really, just the power of resting is just extremely beneficial. um, Another thing, that I found to be extremely powerful, that it took a while to learn to but when you do it, it's very powerful, and that is to breathe, breathing, and real deep breathing and proper breathing. I think we can all think of times where we're doing something, it could be anything, and all of a sudden you kind of catch yourself like, wow, I I just probably went for a whole minute without taking a breath, because you just kind of get so focused that you almost like forget to breathe. It's a little weird. At least you think you forget to breathe, and that's important too. I mean, we do know that our body doesn't make mistakes. We do know that, like, we don't forget to breathe in a sense, but if we're not conscious of how we're breathing, that can have kind of negative effects too. So we want to slow down. We want to take some deep breaths. We want to breathe throughout the day. We want to, if something's stressing us out, stressful. I mean, people, breathing and deep breathing to de-stress. And it's true though. And you really want to, slow down because it does, it de-stresses you. And, I was sharing it earlier that when you breathe properly, excuse me, when you breathe properly, your lungs actually will massage your gut and can really slow things down and really relax your gut. So that's very powerful. Um, so that there's lots of exercises that you can do for breathing. Certain like inhaling nice and slow, holding it for several seconds, and then releasing. And if you do that a couple times in a row, that can really have some big impacts too. So again, if we think about slowing down and resting, we think about breathing properly. These are all things where you can just really, again, really focus where you're at and make great decisions moving forward. um, the next thing that is, I mean, it's mandatory, is to exercise. We know that we have to exercise. We know that's important for everyone's health, but it's really important for someone with Crohn's disease, someone with a compromised digestion. And and what you can do, it can be hard to to exercise when you're not feeling well. I remember I was having so much pain, I could not walk 100 feet. I couldn't do it without feeling doubling over and feeling so much pain. So when I really, really took that time to, to work on some exercises and work on things that I could do, and this goes back to, me working on doing the yoga when I was experiencing a lot of pain. But it's just so important because exercise helps to rebuild our cells. I mean, the food that we put into our body is the fuel, right? And the exercise is your body going to work and rebuilding. So you need to exercise. You need to, and exercise also improves your digestion. We know that. So that's what I mean. We know for having sluggish excuse me, for having sluggish digestion, then we want to help it out. We want to do things that are going to encourage properly functioning digestive tract, and that's going to be your exercise. That's what's going to help you to get through it and to do it. Um, I had two really cool experiences through exercise. Um, One of them was I don't know how it happened, but I must have bruised my toe and I had like a blood blister or something on the toenail, and it took a very long time for it to advance on my toenail. And when I had done some extreme exercising for 10 weeks, it went from having moved like not even a quarter of an inch to growing full out, and all I were cutting my toes, of course, and gone in 10 weeks. And that time that had grown such a short time, short amount, was close to a year. So I mean, and that was the power because I was really doing some heavy exercising for 10 weeks straight. And during weeks, I had taken some pictures of them, but I had three warts on this finger, like three really big warts, and I had those for a couple of years. And they'd always bother me. My ring on the finger they'd always rub and catch, and it was just like and they look gross too, not to mention. But I got to the end of the 10 weeks, and those were gone, completely gone. And I didn't do anything to try to help them, to put anything on them. I swear I must have just sweat them out or something. And so that's like a huge testimony to the power of exercise and how well you know and really how essential it is to healing. And I would definitely say if that happened on my toenail and the warts on my fingers, I mean, what did it do for my insides? And I'm sure it did amazing things. So, and it definitely did because pain was virtually non-existent while I was doing all that exercising. Um, so those are just some stories about how great the exercise can be, and how essential it is to really to really regaining and rebuilding, and again, getting back in control of your gut. The other thing, of course, that's super important is diet. I mean, we all know diet is mandatory for again for everyone, but really for someone struggling with Crohn's disease. And that's because we it's this catch 22 that we need to eat, but we need to give our body the opportunity to rest. And other times we just don't even feel like eating, right? Because it's just so, we don't want to add all this and maybe it's going to cause a flare up and there's all these concerns. But, we do have to eat. And earlier I had said that, you know, that food doesn't heal. And that's my approach. That's my belief. And it's kind of, it's got a little bit of a twist. And that is because I say that it's our minds, it's our thoughts and our beliefs that really heal us. And when we have this change in our thoughts, that's what's healing. And then it's the food that we put into us that is repairing, and it rebuilds our cells and rebuilds, any of the damage done to our intestines. So it's with those two things together, that's really what healing is. It's a combination. But I think, I know I did it. I was very hung up on the foods and eating the right thing and worrying about if, this was going to cause flare ups. And, is this the right diet? Is this the right diet? I mean, I ate just about everything you possibly could, and all of it caused problems. But when I started to realize how the stress was affecting me, that's where I found the most relief. And that's when I was able to tackle the stress and manage my stress and eliminate my pain. So, I mean, the sugar, sorry, sugar, I have a note here about sugar. The diet is extremely important. And speaking of sugar, of course, we all know sugar is the killer, right? We know sugar is like fuel for the fire. So if we think about our gut and our disease, and the inflammation with Crohn's disease, and if you just throw sugar in there, we know it's going to cause inflammation. We know that's going to cause a problem. So it's important to cut back on sugar. And how do we cut back on sugar? It's extremely addicting, right? But it's not hard to cut back on. And one of the best things, well, there's a lot of great things, but I think one of the best things to do is if it's just not around you, you're not going to eat it, right? So if you can keep it, out of sight, out of mind, and that works very powerful. But it's still, it's sugar's around us, it's everywhere. So you could go out, you could be at someone else's house or wherever, and it's going to be there. And if you can really cut these cravings, that's where you're going to find the biggest advantage in eliminating it altogether. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is to crowd out. It's a technique called crowding out. And basically what you do is you keep adding in good food, slowly, maybe one thing at a time, one new thing at a time. And eventually there's just not enough room. There's not enough room in the refrigerator, not enough room in the pantry, and definitely not enough room in the budget to have everything. So something's got to go, and that's going to be the junk. And when you kind of push the junk out, you crowd it out, and you enjoy the new foods that you're eating. The old stuff, you're not going to miss it. Trust me, you're not going to miss it. So, you know, that's that's kind of the thing with diet. It's eating the good foods, eating the right food, um, but not to have guilt, not to stress about if it's this, if it's that, and counting calories and counting portions. I truly feel that causes again more stress for us. That you don't need it. I would say what to eat, what's good, what you shouldn't, and stick with that. Use that as just kind of like a nice simple guide, and try new foods and try something, and maybe your body's not going to agree, maybe you're not going to agree with it, and so you know what, you're going to avoid it next time. But you don't know unless you eat it. You kind of have to go through the process. But you need to have a good diet, but you also don't want to have a good diet and have a lot of guilt with it either. It doesn't work. um, So, and of course, you can't talk about diet and food without talking about chewing and proper chewing. I think that's one thing that um, a lot of people maybe even haven't even heard is proper chewing. And basically, you have to chew your food well, especially with a compromised digestive tract. You have to chew your food well. You have to, digestion starts in the mouth, and you have to chew it right, and you have to like if you think you want to do everything you can, so by the time it enters your stomach and then it passes through into your intestines, that everything down below is just working efficiently and minimally because you've done all the legwork by chewing it. So they recommend chewing anywhere from 25 to 30 to even 50 times each bite. And that may sound like a crazy amount of chews, but when you start to practice it and you start to use it and to chew more, you'll find it's really not. It's much more relaxing. It's much more peaceful. It's not that difficult. Um, the hardest thing might be being the last guy at the table, but you'll get used to that, and you can share with everyone what you're doing, and teach them. This is what I do. I chew my food really well, and I put my fork down in between each bite, and I can even sit back in my chair and I can enjoy the meal and I can enjoy the company and and not eating under stress and not eating under a lot of anxiety either because that's bad. So chewing. So again, digestion starts in the mouth. So when we even as early as when we smell the food, when we smell the food, our mouth waters, right? We all know that mouth watering, whatever, something really good food. And our saliva, the watering obviously is our saliva, and our saliva is loaded with digestive enzymes, and it's these digestive enzymes that help break down the food even further after we've chewed it. So if we can think like we're preparing to eat, our bodies are getting ready to eat. It's really cool. It's a really cool thing if we think about it. So then we eat, and we finally sit down, we eat our meal, and we're chewing, chewing, and chewing. We're adding more, and the chewing motion, the physical motion, actually secretes more saliva. So the more you chew, the more saliva, the more digestive enzymes, the better the better you're giving your body to really break down and to digest and ultimately absorb the food as best as possible. So I mean, this is just like I mean, really, it's a must. With Crohn's disease, it's a must. So it's again, it's so important to chew well. And uh, two more quick little points before I wrap up the call tonight. But the next thing you really want to do is to incorporate some gratitude and be thankful for everything. I say all the time that I'm so thankful, and the best thing that ever happened to me was getting diagnosed with Crohn's disease and being able to learn about myself and learn about this disease and to be better off. I mean, I'm so much better off than had I never been diagnosed. And I'd probably extremely overweight and eating a terrible diet, and I probably would have had even worse problems down the road. So like, I'm very thankful that everything happened when it did, because now I'm in a much better position to, help myself, help my family, help my friends, and of course help you. So we want to be thankful. We want to like give thanks for everything we have, and to wake up and be thankful for the day, and be thankful for situations and things that are a blessing, because we know negativity is toxic for whether it's your negativity, their negativity. We know it's toxic, and you can't have that. No one should have that in their life, but extremely with Crohn's disease, we can't have that. We really need this, again, looking at the big picture. We need to rest. We need to like create this safe space. We need to create this peaceful environment for us to make the changes that we need to get well. And so it's really important to be thankful for what we have, and to not be negative, and be thankful for the flat tire on the side of the highway, because who knows, maybe it would have you would have been in an accident a mile down the highway, so it could have avoided you from being in an accident, killed. Like, there's so many things that we just some things we don't know, like what could have happened. So we just have to be thankful. And again, when we create this inner peace and we create this outer peace with our family and our friends, I mean, quality of life just improves dramatically. It's amazing. And then the last thing I'll say is getting support. I know I was sharing earlier my story that I tried to learn about health and nutrition. I tried to learn about Crohn's. I tried to learn how to heal myself, and I was doing it all on my own, and that's fine. But I was also trying to heal on my own for a long time, for a couple of years. And it wasn't until, like I said, I threw in the towel when I came home. I just said, I've been trying for a couple of years, and I'm not getting anywhere. I'm still very sick, and this might be the worst yet. I got support from my wife. I got support from my family, and everyone was there for me. They allowed me. They gave me that space. They created the space that I could feel comfortable in, that I could take time out of work. I didn't feel obligated to be somewhere, being at work and being all these other places. And it was my time to take care of myself first, to power down, take care of myself, so then I could get back on my feet and take care of my family. And so when you get support, when you get someone who's going to be there for you, it changes everything. And when I finally did get all that support, my health improved very quickly. You know what I had tried to do over a couple of years, but then I got support, and it was just a few months. It's amazing because you have this like sense of responsibility, you have this accountability, and you have people rooting for you. You have people, wanting you to succeed, and it really is your best opportunity for succeeding, and getting out of, really getting unstuck and getting some traction and everything. So I would definitely recommend getting some support. Well, I this is everything for tonight. We're out of time for now, but we'll be back on, and I look forward to taking a lot more of your questions and to continue the conversation. So until then, be well.